Yeah.
Great. So we can see you now, Matteo. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for the awesome concert last week. That was amazing in the sunset. Thank you.
It was much fun. I'm a recycled musician, so I joined crypto because I used to do audio tech for Ethereum Foundation's events in Berlin. And then you get, you start asking questions and what is this crypto, and you get bits of the puzzle. And then at home, you put them together and slowly you make this whole picture that is inspiring everyone, and it's driving us crazy and not sleeping at night.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of what I know is very true to your heart about people taking the power and putting it into their own communities. So I'd like to open the floor to you to talk about.
Yeah. So I will share my screen. So basically, actually, today I'm a bit puzzled because today we gave an educational course to a group of musicians from Milan. So it was a local community of people from the same more than a whole community or a whole economy of different kinds of operators. We are starting to focus more on communities of lookalikes of the same type of operators, in this case musicians, with a geographical identity, because this is in our view it's having way more impact on the offline world that we are experiencing these days so hardly, so heavily. So the offline world today is really different than the one we used to know, and we are rethinking our space, our freedom of movement, how far you can go and and meet people, and which kind of premises you can and where you cannot. So this whole thing is changing a lot. So I would like to give an update about ETH Local. If some people know what we also would like to say hello to Kai if he's not sleeping, because he helped us during Ethereally, and we stayed nights trying to hack some live peer software. Mostly him. I did not. Anyway, sorry.
Also, Matteo, we can't see your screen right now. I know you said that you were trying to share it. I just thought I'd let you know.
Yeah. I still have to share, yes.
And yet, Kay is here. He's been helping to make sure that we are all on track and doing the best that we can. Oh, wait. So he should be right there.
Okay. Hello, bello. So basically, this is a sort of this is an attempt of, or better, a role game that we are starting to shape. And of course, it takes time because we have main projects going on. But it's something that I would love to submit to you, and also maybe ask your feedback and ask your opinion on. So it's, of course, is a way more light project than the ones we have been pitched about, especially the last one that I had the pleasure to know directly via Will. Okay, so basically the story of this idea goes from ETH Berlin 2, which was August 2019. We were volunteering there, and basically it was the summer that on the news you had the Amazon forest, which was heavily on fire. And as we were volunteering, we were also moderating the panels and the pitching sessions at the end. So we could basically see that there was a bit of a shift between the aim of these hackathons, that sometimes are way too agnostic, and what the real world was somehow, putting on the table. So we we started talking about doing a locally impactful hackathon, and we met again at Radical Exchange conference in Berlin in November same year. Then it was Digital Italy Summit in Rome the same month. And then we started pitching the idea. Also, we went at Davos. It's not so far. I mean, from here it's 2 hours drive, so it was fine. We just had to pay a lot for parking slots. And then, of course, the lockdown happened. And as we had planned the whole hackathon physically with a nice location in town, we had to turn everything digital and online. And thanks to the Interspace crew, we did it. And we launched ETH Turin. It was the first Ethereum hackathon coming alive on the virtual space and on the metaverse as well. And it was much fun. Basically, our scope was to take the Ethereum community that we had gathered around our hackathon, give them the magnifier, the glass of the 17 SDGs by the UN, and try to point on local projects that basically had applied to our hackathon, local projects from Turin that had applied to kind of as a case study to be worked on. Something that we discovered very early in time is that these 17 SDGs are very vague. So it's very, very hard to kind of apply them at small scale. But something that we have also acknowledged is that you can prioritize these SDG per city, if not per neighborhood, if not per and also per region, etc. And by creating local agendas, local priorities, you can spot where the resonances work, and you can start connecting maybe the right hubs, the right thinkers, and the right projects together. So this is what we did, basically. We took Turin and we indexed basically the top SDGs that the local administration has as goals for the next 4 years. And we matched them with the ones from this local European area, which is basically Central Europe. And we saw that it kind of resonated with the same ranks that Milan has, because of course it's very near, and with Stuttgart. So we also had a representation of projects from Stuttgart that could somehow resonate with Turin, with Milan. The idea was basically to get together what Radical Exchange was offering as tools and solutions, if not functions, economic functions and governance function, if we want to mention quadratic voting and quadratic funding. Trying to get the Ethereum community more confident with the concept of such. So by it's strange. I mean, a lot of programmers, they may be maybe full stack developers, etc. But maybe they have problems understanding quadratic voting. So it's always useful to share the information as plainly as we receive them. And we wanted to kind of close the circle and insert these projects from local public administration sponsored ones and also from more independent ones. This was also a way to kind of create some social bond between the crypto nomads and these local projects, such as local producers who have 0 kilometer supply chain, urban gardens, things like that, through the local PA partnership. Why do I mention the local PA partnership? It's very. I think it's quite important today. Sorry. As we are seeing there has been a sort of regionalization process going on since that got a bit accelerated with the lockdowns. At least that what worked in Italy. Different regions responding in different terms to the central government, talking about the health system, talking about police measures. So we have a regionalization process going on, also at European level. It's important to also understand that blockchain and decentralization, it's something that was born at the same time of local currencies. Paper money, just like the monnaie locale in France. In France, there are like 40 different local currencies that are being used for various purposes. In Italy, there's two, and the oldest one is from 2008, Sardex, from the island of Sardinia. What they did was basically creating compensation chambers for local businesses. So why business A, should I go and get indebted with the bank if I owe you, business B, something, and we belong to the same circular economy? I can emit directly a form of debit which is backed by my own service or product or offering. This is also to understand that local computing and trying to think ethereally and acting locally can, in time, give rise to what can be called local DeFi or micro DeFi. So the possibility of stake to pools of value that have also real impact on your territory and on your offline life. So think about urban gardens. Urban gardens are a phenomenon that has impacted cities like Detroit that were sort of given for lost because of the gentrification and crime rates, and they have gifted them with sort of a second spring. So what about thinking of conglomerates of urban gardens that organize as DAOs and maybe can also create liquidity pools and farming contracts in crypto that can also generate, can become object of local staking. Something that we did also was trying to implement, and we did it, trying to implement quadratic voting with NFTs. So basically, all participants to the hackathon had an NFT token that basically was read by Web3 on our voting platform, and all participants to the final quadratic voting had to have the Ethereum ticket. This was the final outcome of the hackathon with a very nice project on peer review winning and moving to kernel the same year. Then we had, as I said, a project about open farming and decentralized economic solutions. Sorry, it's a bit late in the night, and I'm a bit tired, so I'm trying my best to keep my brain working and cool. So basically, what we tried to do with ETH Local after this hackathon was to connect even deeper with a few hubs that we had spotted in Europe that could relate together as hubs of culture and art making, so that we could impact creatives in Europe by giving them access to some primitive governance tools. This is a lot of very nice slides that basically are selling the idea of ETH Local. So we are just going through some claims. Also, ETH Local is a decentralized, flexible organization, which is a different concept than a DAO. A DAO has an owner, or more than one owner, who governed DAO eventually. While on DFOs, which is basically decentralized flexible organizations, is purely decentralized, in the hands of token holders. This is a bit the list of DFOs currently working. You can see Ethereally here. Now Ethereally is also a meetup, the local Ethereum meetup, and we're working on a collective management organization for Ethereum, which has no DAO, has no governance token, is pure registry, so no speculation, nothing. You can see that Legal Hackers, Roma, Legal Hackers is a group of lawyers that go crypto and try to harmonize constitutional law with crypto law, and they divide per chapters. There's Paris, Berlin, Rome, etc., and they organize themselves into a DFO. So you can see how things are working. So we have our own DFO as ETH Local. What we are trying to do is basically assist in operations and fundraising around project with a local scope, organize and assist Ethereum events with that same call, develop a network of MVPs to planning on, and last but not least, launch tech residencies for the Ethereum community. This is what we've been trying to work over the last months, but it's going to be hard. So basically, we are launching this project, which is residencies round, that had to happen between April and June, but given the current situation, I'm afraid that we will have to reinvent something and kind of move forwards. But still, we have 6 locations in Europe that are called citadels, and 6 developers basically will win staying. We're supposed to win free staying in these locations, and basically help them setting up maybe a DAO or maybe a snapshot, which is basically this very nice app that reads. It worked today. Nice. This is a test that we did with the musicians from Milan. So we did a test. On-chain governance test. Basically, what this snapshot does is it's a read-only DApp that reads how many tokens you have and allows you to run quick voting off-chain. I think it's still stored on IPFS though, so you can create a voting, you can publish it on IPFS, and also the outcome is stored on IPFS. So 6 developers called pilgrims who will win the staying at one of these locations in exchange of services, of crypto dirty services. And so pilgrims will have to develop instances of Ethereum-based solutions specifically for the hosting citadel of the ETH Local network. Both citadels and pilgrims will earn progressive reputational skins. Our funds will go as pay for the residencies along with stablecoin that will cover the basic expenses of the residency. So basically, we as a DFO, we made partnerships with these residencies to pay them the costs of a possible staying, and by giving them some extra token of the DFO, so governance tokens of our DFO, because eventually they would have to host someone for maybe 15 euros a day or 20 euros a day, and that eventually will work for them and provide them educational modules or training, or maybe even a small DAO or voting system or a token. So try things to it's a pattern of getting someone there to educate them, because they already have value which is not being kind of institutionalized at a broader level. Yeah, this is the part about the DFO, which is not interesting. Yes, this is something that we are experimenting. So every iteration, Pilgrim Citadel will be itemized, which is a new standard called ETH item, which is basically an NFT that has also an ERC20 extension. So the 51% will own the NFT. I mean, the person who owns that 51% will own the NFT, and the other will be pure stakeholders. So this is also a nice way to think patents in case something cool comes out of these residencies. So here's our residencies. We have one in Barcelona here, which is the Acacia Hub. I'll tell you more about it later. We have Edinburgh. We have 3 in Piedmont, the region where I'm from, mostly around the Alps here. And we have Liminal Village in Marche in Italy. It's a first event. You know, we would like to have it start big, but of course there were many problems to solve and not enough horse power behind. So Acacia Hub Barcelona is basically co-op or co-working space that has a co-op project, and they are already crypto literate, so you don't have to explain them nothing new, but they are working intensively with local businesses and urban gardens, and this is one residency that was issued. You can access all these residencies at ETHLocal.co. I mean, we are still receiving applications, but of course it's a bit problematic to say if we will manage to provide, because Italy, for example, is being closed, etc. But feel like applying anyway, because we might change to something else, and this is still valid. Edinburgh, the residency in Edinburgh is at Creative Informatics, which is basically a community of tech people working directly with local communities of students and currency tickets for events, concerts, etc. Liminal Village, I think most people will know it. For those who don't know it, I still have to actually make my way and go there and spend some time, but it's a very interesting place for what I managed to understand. It's a sort of experiential and hyper farm where you are in deep contact with nature and try to co-create together by distilling and by having micro sessions with each other of reflections. Ostana, Piedmont, this is a very interesting residency. This place had been abandoned for many years, and only recently people started moving back again and investing there in renovations, etc. And it's a Occitan multicentric settlement in the northwestern Alps, and they basically are trying to enact old social traditions from the 19th century that used to support the local community, saying the division of in terms of the division of roles and of production. So things that have been lost because of industrialization in Turin, and things that can be made smarter and put on chain as for validation purpose, and can be also automatized with smart contracts. Stone of an House is an international retreat for artists. It's a very interesting place where you can basically apply for a residency there and create some piece of art or content that you will have to leave to the Stone of an House, and that will grant you like a big discount on the staying. Of course, on top of that, you can work directly in that place. For the links, you can just go to the ETH Local page and you can visit them directly, by the way. Yeah. The last one is another residency in Piedmont, which is an abandoned industry just beneath the mountains that had been recuperated and restored. And it is an energetic community. So basically, this premise has an hydraulic power station just beneath here, which is constantly producing electricity, but they are not connected as to maximize the efficiency of the energy transfer. So Italy recently has liberalized the concept of energetic communities. So basically, if you have a source of power now up to 200 kilowatt per hour, megawatt, I forgot. You can basically harness that source and distribute it as you want. Usually, even if you had a waterfall in your garden, you could not, by law, you could not harness it energetically. You could not put a dynamo and use it. Now this thing has been breached. So even bigger communities with waterfalls and sun panels can start experimenting with smart contracts and peer-to-peer energy selling. So basically, for this residency, it would be interesting to have someone that is all about energy peer-to-peer selling. But anyway, this is the situation. We don't know what will happen. It's a bit of a downer. We haven't received so many applications, I have to be honest. So what we are trying to think is to create a temporary solution for these residencies to happen and to connect Ethereans in workshops together with these residencies. So any suggestions is welcome. If not, I think that the only thing that is left us to do is put up an NFT store and maybe create postcards from the residencies and try to find a way to give these postcards a value in the residency. So that was my presentation.